And far be it from a pastor to work so hard all week long and not show off their work. I do want to extend our conversation a little bit further, and today's scripture is going to be a really good way to do that. I want you to sit within yourself for a moment, and I want you to pray about what ark you are in. What vessel are you sailing on that is carrying you to the places God is desiring you to be? Noah had a unique situation. He was asked to do something that everyone else around him thought was a harebrained scheme and was wondering, what are you doing? The question is senility, his thought process through it all. There was a journey taking place that no one else understood except for Noah, who received the call. I want you to think for a moment about what ark you are in. What callings are you receiving? What journeys are you being called to go on that others may not understand? But as I shared in our earlier message, and as I shared to the kids today, the passion of your heart is raging with such fire you need to go that way. I want you to think about that question today. I want to celebrate some things with you as we go through this. I have talked to you about my loves for so many things over the years, except for one. I truly, truly enjoy stand-up comedy. Not to the extent that I would ever fathom that I could do it. But I greatly admire what stand-up comedians do, because within their platform, they probably give some of the more currently accurate sermons than I ever could. With different voices, different points of view, different demeanors, different lifestyles, different understandings, individuals standing up to share with others a message, and they bring with them their life journeys. They bring with them their world understandings, their passions, to stir laughter in others. As we look at the arks we travel in, I want you to pray about what voice stirs you in your interaction with your ark. I want to share with you 3 comedians that I love. I want to share with you their world understandings. And as I share with you their world understandings, I want us to pray through how that understanding affects the ark we travel in. How it skews information, how it fires passion for inspiration, how it inspires us in so many ways. I'm going to share with you 3 very different and unique individuals, and to share with you how their journey and their ark still opens a potential for the greater world and may connect with the ark that we're traveling in. I grew up a big fan of David Letterman and Saturday Night Live when I was a younger kid. And one comedy duo that showed up on Letterman a lot, as well as SNL, was Penn and Teller, magician comedians that do so many things. They actually still have a TV show on the CW network trying to get other comedians to try to trick them with their tricks. And if they can figure it out, they lose. And if the magicians trick them, they win. But one comedian that I greatly admire is Penn Jillette, because Penn Jillette has a passion for something in his life. He has an understanding of a worldview in his life. And within his life and through that passion and that worldview, he goes out and he can articulate what he's feeling, why he's upset with things, and be able to spark conversations even with those who disagree with them because of his willingness to live within his understanding. He has a set understanding of things, which is one of the first arcs that we travel in. And some of the arcs that we travel in, we get into these arcs with set understandings. And we're hoping that we go through our arc journey and get to the other side and experience the rainbow in the sky, the covenant in the sky within that set understanding. Penn Jillette brings within to his world an atheistic view. And I have always enjoyed hearing Penn Jillette defend his worldwide stance because it has always challenged me to look at the world through a different set of eyes. It's easy for me to look at the eyes through my faith, my understanding, my perceptions. But every time that I've heard Penn Jillette speak on a podcast or share in a speech somewhere, Gretchen and I had the opportunity last year to go to Las Vegas and watch their magic show. The first and probably only time that I've ever will be or have gone to Las Vegas. But there is something that I deeply admire about an individual, even though that his view of religion is so radically different than mine, is his willingness to read and explore and learn and discover new things, even though at the end of the day, he may be looking for it in his vision. I'll share with you that that does not only exist within an atheistic journey. I've watched so many times within the journey of my dear siblings in faith that we enter journeys and we step into that journey with a set ideal. And it is our hope when we get into that journey of a set ideal, we get to the other side, we see the rainbow covenant, and we hope that that rainbow covenant serves as a mirror of what we have always understood so that we can feel good about ourselves at the end of that journey. And that is admirable. Faith should help us find freedom within ourselves and freedom within our identity. But unfortunately, throughout journeys that I've seen, I've watched set ideals hold so much of a precedent that others are not heard in the process. Some of us get into our arcs of set ideals and we get to the other side of the covenant. But what does that covenant open if we only want it to look like ourselves? I want to share with you another gentleman. This man's name is Pete Holmes, and he's a comedian that I deeply admire. There's this phrase that exists within the realm of faith and Christianity. It's called Christian deconstruction. And what Christian deconstruction is this active act to tear down everything that we've ever been taught so that we can get back to the foundation of what we believe in. And then when we get back to the point of that foundation, then we can reconstruct the house that our faith dwells in. Not so much like the first ark, that we reconstruct the ark within our image and our understanding, but to truly deconstruct things in such a way that we do not see the God that we're looking for. We discover a limitless God that is trying to display itself to us. Most of Pete Holmes' comedy is about him trying to reconcile growing up in a very specific religious journey, and then working through that religious journey to a point that he can say, you know what? Yeah, once upon the time the pastor told me that this is wrong, but I see God's face in this now. I like his journey. When I went on my renewal leave, I read a lot of his articles and his journeys and watched a TV show that he's a part of called Crashing. And that TV show displayed his journey of being a person of immense set faith, so much like the first ark that I shared with you, but through the willingness of tearing down the structures to the pure foundation of it all, a willingness to say, you know, it wasn't that way before, but I truly see Christ in this now. I feel this ark is the one that I have been traveling through the most. The willingness of truly seeing faith for what it could be, not the fear of making God upset that I had as a teenager, but truly being willing to look at the world in the eyes and to see the being of Christ in places that I once was told was dark and wrong. But to be able to say, I will not limit my limitless God by telling God what's wrong. I want to be in the ark that leads me to a covenant that God is displaying to me. The wholeness of possibility of going into what Christ shared in Matthew 28 as into all nations. Some of us are in that ark. Last night, I got to go on a date. And on my date last night, my wife and I went to go see Taylor Tomlinson. Now, if you watch Netflix, she's got 3 different specials on Netflix. If you watch late night television, she's the host of this television show called After Midnight. It's sort of a blended comedy, improvisation, interview, game show sort of deal thing. And last night we went to go see Taylor Tomlinson. And Taylor's journey is a lot like Pete's journey. But instead of trying to rip things down to a foundation that she understands, her comedy, her arc that she travels in, wants to tear it all the way down and smash the foundation up and turn it back into sand and then remix it into water and make it a new concrete to create a new foundation. And there is a lot about that I admire. Because within that, well, let's go back to the first ark. The first ark, we carry a set ideal all the way to the conclusion. The Penn Jillette ark. The second ark, the Pete Holmes ark, almost becomes this desire of going back to a romanticized memory of the way things could be or should have been. And I want to go back to that romanticized memory and make it to fit in the new places. And then we get to this place with Taylor Tomlinson that she's not trying to get back anywhere. She's trying to have this place that she creates a new foundation, rooted in beliefs and structure, but a new foundation to stand on. And the more times that I have said this morning, a new foundation, I think about the actions of Jesus Christ as he talked about to the religious leaders during his time of ministry. Jesus Christ's mission was always tearing down completely and removing things and shifting things into new sands and constructing a new foundation to stand on. Not going back to the principles of what were along with respecting them, but creating a new foundation to stand on. And all last night, we listened to her comedy, and I was challenged last night. I had a hard time last night. I laughed a lot, but I was challenged because we have to be willing, in the name of holy potential, to break things all the way down to its minute particles so that we can create a sustainable foundation. And that sustainable foundation does not exist in a set ideal. That sustainable foundation does not exist within us trying to go back to a romanticized memory. That foundation exists in us being willing to crack everything down, including the foundation, so that God can rebuild the foundation and to give us something sturdy to stand upon. So within the explanations of these journeys, these arcs, I want you to pray. Is your arc set within the set ideal? Is your arc set within a romanticized memory? Or is your arc set in a willingness to tear things completely apart so that God can make a new foundation to stand on? We've got 4 months. And 4 months is a long time. Some of you are going to ask, is he gone yet? That's how long 4 months is going to feel. But I want you to take whatever arc that you're on and to grow in that arc. I hope that we get to this arc. An arc that's so willing for things to be so radically different that we are willing to try things. To share that, I'm going to share with you not just probably my favorite comedian, but probably one of my personal heroes. It's a man named Kevin Smith who wrote a lot of movies that I hope you don't like, but especially if you don't like curse words. But Kevin Smith is a person that took chances within his entire life, including running up credit card bills to astronomical things so that he could make his first movie that began to be a payoff that he was able to pay off. There's a phrase that he shared once on one of the podcasts that he does, and this phrase has set in my heart for so long, and I want it to set in your heart as you dissect what arc you're on. And a phrase that he shared once, he phrased the words, "In a world of whys, be a why not." In a world of whys, be a why not. And I've held that a lot because I've had to. I've had to deal with trying to be a why not as I have dealt with my history of set ideals. I've had to deal with being a why not as I've dealt with my journey of trying to get back to romanticized moments of belief. And I have to be a why not. And we have to be a why not. Because we need God to create a new foundation for us to stand on. Because if we keep reconstructing our foundation on what we understand, there will be people that are left behind. There's another phrasing that exists within Kevin Smith's life that I would like for you to hold on to. Because there's so many times, especially as pastors, that we hear this phrase, well, Pastor Harris would have never said that. Billy Graham probably wouldn't have made that statement. We exist in worlds that we see another's ideal, and if we chase other ideals, that doesn't work either. There was a time that Kevin Smith's dad, Donald, was interviewed at the beginning of his career, and he was asked, "Who do you think Kevin Smith is? What kind of director do you want Kevin Smith to be?" And Donald's answer back to them was very beautiful. He said, "I don't want him to become someone else. One day I want him to become the first Kevin Smith." I want you with me for 4 months and with whomsoever is next. And I will share with you, please don't ask me. I'm going to tell you the answer. I don't know. D.S. Sandy doesn't know. Imelda does not know. We don't know who's next. But whoever that be, I don't want you to try to be the next whatever. with them. I don't want you to try to make them the next me. Dear Lord, don't make them the next me. But try to be the first you. That's the ark that I want you on. The one that will allow God to tear things all the way down to rebuild it, and to be the one that says, why not? Please be in that.